Police have made an arrest in the murder that took place in Port Wentworth. Port Wentworth police say Shawn Bolden Jr. is in custody after being a person of interest in connection with the homicide that happened on Miriam Jordan Road around 6:30 last night. Officials say they located Bolden on I-16 in Trutland County. He was captured after a brief chase by Georgia State Patrol.
May 6th, 2021. Deanna Ellison had 3 days left until her very first Mother's Day. She never made it. Her baby's father emptied his gun into her body, then reloaded it and kept shooting. Their 5-month-old son was right there, screaming. Let me tell you something. This man didn't just take her life. He made sure she was gone. When the clock strikes midnight, the truth comes out. I'm 12 a.m. crime. And every single day I bring you real cases of domestic violence that turn deadly. The stories the system tried to bury. The victims who deserve justice. If you're about that raw, unfiltered truth, hit subscribe. New case drops every day at midnight. Don't sleep on justice. This is 12 a.m. crime. Deanna Ellison was 29 years old when she died. 29. She had her whole life ahead of her. A baby boy who needed her. A mother who loved her. Dreams that would never come true. And then there was Shawn Bolden Jr., 33 years old, the father of her child, the man who would take everything from her. Now, like most stories that end in tragedy, this one didn't start there. Deanna and Shawn were in a relationship. They were building something, or at least she thought they were. By 2020, Deanna was 3 months pregnant with their first child, their son, a baby they were supposed to raise together. But here's where things get real. When you're pregnant, when you're carrying life inside you, you start thinking different. You start moving different. Your priorities shift. You want your mama around. You want family close. You want support. That's just natural. So one day, Deanna did what any daughter would do. She invited her mother over for dinner to their home in Port Wentworth, Georgia. A simple dinner, nothing crazy, just her mama coming to spend time with her pregnant daughter. Shawn didn't like that. Mother's Day, 2020. That's when everything changed. That's when Deanna learned exactly who she was dealing with. She invited her mother over for dinner, and Shawn, he slapped her, right across the face. His pregnant girlfriend, the mother of his unborn child. Over a dinner invitation. Make it make sense. You're 3 months pregnant. You're growing a human being. You're vulnerable. You're emotional. You're building a life. And the man who's supposed to protect you, who's supposed to hold you down, who's supposed to be your partner, he puts his hands on you, over your mama coming to eat. Deanna made a choice that day, a choice that probably saved her life for a little while longer, even though it wouldn't save her forever. She left him, packed up whatever she could, and walked away, 3 months pregnant, and she chose herself. She chose her baby. She chose peace over whatever toxic situation she was living in. Now, leaving an abusive relationship when you're pregnant, that takes strength. That takes courage. Because you're not just thinking about yourself anymore. You're thinking about that baby. You're thinking about what kind of life you want to give them. What kind of example you want to set. What kind of man you want around your child. Deanna knew Shawn wasn't it. Moving on, she had that baby. Somewhere around January 2021, her son came into this world. 5 pounds, 10 pounds, whatever he weighed. He was hers, her first child, her baby boy, the love of her life. And for a few months, Deanna got to be a mother. She got to hold her son, feed him, change him, watch him sleep, hear him laugh. See him grow. She got to experience those precious early months that you never get back. The newborn phase, the bonding, The late nights and early mornings, the first smile, the first time he recognized her face. She was building a life without Shawn, a better life, a safer life. But Shawn? He wasn't done with her, not by a long shot. See, here's what a lot of people don't understand about abusive relationships. Leaving doesn't always mean you're safe. Sometimes it means you're in more danger. Because men like Shawn, they don't like losing control. They don't like being told no. They don't like when a woman chooses herself over them. And when you add a baby to the mix, it gets even more complicated. Because now there's a child involved. There's co-parenting. There's communication that has to happen, whether you want it to or not. There's a connection that never fully breaks. Deanna was just trying to be a good mother, just trying to raise her son, just trying to live. By May 2021, that baby was 5 months old. 5 months of Deanna pouring everything into him. 5 months of sleepless nights and endless love. 5 months of figuring out this whole motherhood thing. 5 months of healing from the trauma of that relationship with Shawn. Mother's Day was coming up. May 9th, 2021. Deanna's very first Mother's Day. The day she'd been looking forward to. The day she'd get to celebrate being somebody's mama. Her mama would probably come over. They'd take pictures. They'd laugh. They'd honor this new chapter in Deanna's life. She had 3 days to go. 3 days until she'd experience that joy. 3 days until she'd get to feel what it means to be celebrated as a mother. 3 days until her son could give her that first Mother's Day card, even though he was too young to know what it meant. 3 days. That's all she had left. May 6th, 2021. A Thursday. Just another day in Port Wentworth, Georgia. Except it wasn't. Deanna Ellison was at home with her 5-month-old son, her baby. The little boy she'd been protecting since the day he was born. The child she left Shawn for. The reason she kept going every single day. We don't know exactly what led Shawn to that house that day. We don't know if he called first, if he texted, if he just showed up. What we do know is that Shawn Bolden Jr. showed up with a 9mm revolver, and he had every intention of using it. What happened next was pure evil. Shawn pulled that trigger once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. He emptied every single round in that gun into Deanna's body. 6 bullets, 6 pieces of metal tearing through her flesh, through her organs, through the body that had just carried and delivered his son 5 months earlier. But here's the part that'll make your stomach turn. 6 bullets wasn't enough for him. 6 wasn't. Enough to satisfy whatever rage, whatever hatred, whatever darkness was inside him that day. So he reloaded. Let that sink in for a second. Deanna was already down, already dying, already gone, most likely. And this man stopped, took the time to reload his weapon, and kept shooting. 5 more times, 5 more bullets into her body. 11 gunshots total. 11 times Shawn Bolden Jr. chose violence. 11 times he pulled that trigger. 11 times he decided that Deanna Ellison didn't deserve to live. And that baby, that 5-month-old little boy, he was right there, in that house, hearing every shot, hearing his mother's last moments, crying, screaming, confused, terrified. Deanna died from those 11 gunshot wounds. The medical examiner would later testify to that. 11 entry wounds. 11 pieces of evidence that Shawn wanted her dead, that he made absolutely sure she would never take another breath. This wasn't a crime of passion. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't self-defense. This was execution. This was murder. This was a man so consumed by his need to control, his need to punish, his need to destroy, that he didn't stop until he physically couldn't shoot her anymore. and then he ran. Neighbors heard the gunshots, multiple rounds going off in rapid succession, then silence, then more shots, in a residential neighborhood, in broad daylight. Around 6:30 in the evening, they called 911, reported hearing gunfire, told dispatchers they saw a man running away from Deanna's house, a man fleeing the scene like his life depended on it. First responders rushed to the address, police, paramedics. They pulled up to the house and immediately heard it. A baby, screaming, crying at the top of his lungs. But the door was locked. Nobody was answering. That baby's cries were getting more desperate by the second. They kicked the door down. What they found inside was a scene nobody should ever have to see. Deanna Ellison, 29 years old, lying there with 11 gunshot wounds. Her son, 5 months old, unharmed physically, but traumatized beyond measure, screaming for a mother who would never hold him again. The baby was okay. Let me repeat. The baby was physically okay. Not a scratch on him. Shawn had enough control, enough awareness, enough restraint to not harm his own son. But he had no problem shooting that boy's mother 11 times while he watched. Make it make sense. About an hour after the murder, Chatham County dispatchers got another call, an anonymous tip. Someone calling in to report that Shawn Bolden Jr. had just confessed, said he killed his baby mama. Those were the words. Baby mama, like Deanna was just some title, like she wasn't a whole human being, like she wasn't the mother of his child, like she wasn't somebody's daughter. He told someone what he did. Then that person called the police. We don't know who made that call. We don't know if it was a friend, a family member, someone Shawn ran to looking for help or sympathy. But whoever it was, they did the right thing. Law enforcement issued a bolo. Be on the lookout, statewide. Every agency in Georgia was now searching for Shawn Bolden Jr. They had his description. They had his vehicle information, a dark blue Toyota Camry. They had his last known direction of travel. And they found him. Georgia State Patrol officers spotted that Camry on Interstate 16, more than 100 miles away from Port Wentworth. Shawn was running, putting distance between himself and what he'd done, probably thinking he could get away, probably thinking he could disappear. But see, you can't outrun murder. You can't outrun the police when they're looking for you. You can't outrun justice. GSP tried to pull him over. Shawn didn't stop. Of course he didn't stop. So now we've got a high-speed chase, over 100 miles an hour, across 2 counties. This man just murdered his child's mother, and now he's risking the lives of everyone else on that highway because he refuses to face what he did. The chase went on. Miles and miles of Shawn, trying to escape the inevitable. Officers pursuing him, coordinating, strategizing, waiting for the right moment. Then they executed a pit maneuver, precision immobilization technique. They hit that Camry just right, spun it out, brought the vehicle to a stop. And just like that, Shawn Bolden Jr.'s run was over. He was taken into custody, handcuffed, read his rights, placed in the back of a patrol car. The man who just emptied a gun into Deanna, reloaded it, and kept shooting, was now in custody. 1 hour and some change after he murdered her. But here's what gets me. When Port Wentworth detectives interviewed him, when they sat him down and tried to get to the truth, Shawn lied. He manipulated. He tried to play games with the investigation, tried to act like he didn't know what happened, tried to create confusion, tried to control the narrative the same way he'd tried to control Deanna. And you know what else? Throughout that entire investigation, Shawn showed no concern for his son. None. Didn't ask if the baby was okay. Didn't ask who was taking care of him. Didn't ask if he was safe. His 5-month-old boy had just witnessed his mother's murder, and Shawn couldn't even pretend to care. That tells you everything you need to know about who this man really is.
We are on top of breaking news in Port Wentworth. Police are on the scene of a homicide investigation.
WSAV News 2's Ricardo Lewis joining us live from the scene with the latest on this. Ricardo, they have released the identity of a suspect?
We have Benatina, that's right. We are here in Port Wentworth where police were called to the scene around 6:30 this evening for a homicide investigation. Now I'm going to throw you to some video right now and we'll show you who that person of interest is. If you take a look at your screen right now, his name is Shawn Bolden Jr. He was last seen in a dark blue Toyota Camry. Now I did speak with the victim's mother who confirmed to me that this was her daughter who was shot here in this area. We're off of Miriam Jordan Road here in Port Wentworth. Police are still looking for this man that you see right now on your screen. Again, Shawn Bolden Jr., who was last seen in a dark blue Toyota. Now, there is a coroner on scene and the police continue to investigate this area. They're still looking for that man, but again, they're investigating this homicide situation out here right now. Once we learn more information, we will bring that to you on air and online. But for now, we're live in Port Wentworth. Ricardo Lewis, WSAV News 3 on your side.
Shawn Bolden Jr. sat in that jail cell for years, waiting, thinking about what he did, or maybe not thinking about it at all. Maybe sleeping just fine at night while Deanna's family couldn't, while her son grew up without his mother, while her mama had to bury her baby girl 3 days before Mother's Day. The state of Georgia charged him with everything they could: malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. They weren't playing games. They were going for the maximum, life without parole, and they had everything they needed to get it. The trial came. Witnesses testified. The medical examiner took the stand and told that jury exactly what happened to Deanna's body. 11 gunshot wounds, 11 separate injuries, 11 reasons why she never got to celebrate her first Mother's Day. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, crystal clear. Port Wentworth detectives testified about Shawn's lies, about how he tried to manipulate them during questioning, about how he showed zero concern for his son's well-being, about how he was more worried about himself than the child he left traumatized in that house. December 1st, 2025. More than 4 years after he murdered Deanna, District Attorney Shalina Cook-Jones announced the verdict: guilty. Guilty on malice murder, guilty on felony murder, guilty on aggravated assault, guilty on possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. The jury saw through everything. They heard the evidence. They saw the photos. They learned about the reloading, about the 11 shots, about the 5-month-old baby screaming in that house. And they made their decision. Shawn Bolden Jr. was a convicted murderer. Sentencing was set for January 9th, 2026, but it got pushed back. And on January 18th, 2026, Shawn stood before that judge one final time. The state asked for life without the possibility of parole. They wanted to make sure he never walked free again. Never got the chance to hurt another woman. Never got the chance to see his son grow up into a man. The judge agreed. Life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 5 years consecutive for that firearm charge. Shawn Bolden Jr. will die behind bars. He will never breathe free air again. He will never know freedom. He will grow old in a cell, the same way he forced Deanna's son to grow up without a mother. Justice was served, but it doesn't bring Deanna back. Deanna Ellison was 29 years old when she died. She had a son who needed her, a mother who loved her, a future that was stolen. She did everything right. She left when he hit her. She chose safety over staying. She built a new life. She protected her child. And still, she's gone. Her son is growing up now. He's almost 5 years old at the time of his father's sentencing. He'll never remember his mother's face. He'll never remember her voice. He'll never remember the way she held him, the way she fed him, the way she loved him. But he'll know her story. He'll know she died protecting the life she built for him. He'll know she was strong enough to leave. He'll know his father took her from him 3 days before Mother's Day, and he'll have to carry that weight for the rest of his life. Deanna's mother lost her daughter, lost her baby girl, had to bury a child no parent should ever have to bury. All because Deanna invited her over for dinner one Mother's Day and got slapped for it. All because she chose herself. All because she said no. This is what domestic violence looks like. This is what happens when men can't handle rejection, when they can't handle losing control, when they'd rather see you dead than see you happy without them. Deanna Ellison should be here. She should be celebrating Mother's Day every year with her son. She should be watching him grow, teaching him, loving him, living. But Shawn Bolden Jr. made sure that would never happen. Rest in peace, Deanna. Your story matters. Your life mattered. And your son will know that you loved him more than anything in this world.